Halls of Torment is another entry in the genre I can best describe as roguelike bullet hells. Think of games like 20 Minutes Till Dawn, and of course, the game that didn't start the trend but popularized it, Vampire Survivors. My name's Yuo, and today we see if Halls of Torment is any good, or if it's just another cash grab on this recent fad. Halls of Torment is developed and published by Chasing Carrots, an indie developer based in Germany. Released on May 24th, 2023 on Early Access, the game tasks the player with surviving the demonic hordes for 30 minutes across 4 different maps. Visually, the game is inspired by old action RPGs like Diablo, which I think works well here and sets it apart from its contemporaries. And what kind of ode to old school games would be complete without a slow scrolling text box accompanied by a disembodied head? Gameplay wise, there's nothing groundbreaking here. After choosing a character from a list of 9, 8 being unlockable, you pick a map and try to survive for 30 minutes against an increasing horde of demons. If you manage to survive, you fight the final boss, rinse and repeat. You may be wondering, how do I combat this horde of increasing monstrosities? By walking, of course. Like most other games in this genre, the abilities activate themselves and your character auto-attacks. There is a setting for both auto-aim and auto-attack. Auto-attack, of course, means your character attacks as soon as they can. There's no reason to turn this off, just let the game handle this. Auto-aim, however, is not so clear-cut. The way it works is, your character will automatically face the closest enemy to your model. While this is fine most of the time, it's not always the most optimal way to play. At certain intervals, an elite enemy spawns, which are generally stronger than the random trash you kill. The problem is, even if your character is capable of attacking them, if they aren't the closest enemy to you, the auto-aim won't prioritize them. In situations like this, or when you need to kite in a specific direction, turning off auto-aim is almost mandatory. Luckily, both auto-aim and auto-attack are keybound, so you can do it on the fly without opening a menu. Now, Halls of Torment does not impress visually or mechanically at first. Everything in this game is tied to the achievements you get through play. The consequence of this is that the first couple of hours are pretty bland, with a low variety of items, playable characters, and level up abilities. For comparison, here's my first run versus a run multiple hours later. While it's normal for games to get more interesting past the initial couple of hours, it's a harder ask for a run-based game where successful runs take a minimum of 30 minutes plus. The game doesn't start to open up until after the player unlocks Agony. Agony is obtained by winning a map for the first time. Ranging from level 0 to 4, which dynamically changes as you kill enemies, Agony modifies enemy count, enemy health, experience, and item rarities, creating a much more varied and interesting game. From barely surviving as a dual-axe Frost Norseman to face-rolling the game as an archer turned machine gun, there's a lot of fun and variety here. The game features multiple ways to permanently progress your character. There is an inventory system where the armor you have bought can be equipped before you start a run. There is also a shop that increases things like health, attack speed, etc. for the gold you find during your demon slaying rampage. While the game includes a potion system that adjusts things like banishing select skills or re-rolling them, you have to grind out components to brew the potions, and it seems more of a grind than it was worth. The game has slots for 5 maps, but currently has 4. I assume once the game leaves early access it will add a 5th map, but we will have to wait and see. The maps are similar, with the exception of some different enemy variety. Open maps with some terrain, destructibles, and environmental hazards. The 3rd map is the only outlier here, which takes place on a bridge, limiting the amount of space the player has to move vertically. Performance-wise, the game runs great most of the time. The only exceptions were during Agony level 4. With the sheer amount of units and particle effects going on, I suffer some FPS dips and missing sound effects. While usually this would be a bigger negative, I can excuse it a little thanks to the scope of things. Now, should you buy Halls of Torment? Well, it depends. If you enjoy this genre of game and are looking for another to play, or just want to try one, then yes. For $6 Canadian, this game is an easy buy, just be mindful of the initial slog. However, if you do not enjoy this genre, then you can skip it. Beneath the different visual style lies the same bones that make up the genre, and this one won't change your mind. If the launch version does any drastic changes, I'll do an updated review, but most likely, these are my final thoughts on the game. If you have played Halls of Torment before or other games worth checking out in this genre, post your thoughts below. While Halls of Torment is not a bad game by any means, there is definitely some deja vu here that plagues most entries in this niche corner of the gaming space, and I'm wondering if there are any standout games that bring something different to this formula. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you aren't, it helps the channel grow. My name's Yuo, and I'll see you in the next one.